3, 4,
Yeah, we got plenty.
5, 6, 7. Okay.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the work session for October. We're going to start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. Yeah. Whenever Larry decides to take his seat, we'll do roll call.
Here.
Well, I'm playing multiple roles tonight. Cameraman,
All right.
secretary.
Larry, how about the roll call?
Mr. D'Amelio.
Present.
Mrs. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Siegel. Here. Mr. Holmes not here yet. Mr. Holmes is on his way. Mr. McGarity.
Here.
Mr. Wexler.
Here.
Mr. Connell.
Here.
Mr. Oliva.
Here. All right. So we're going to hold off on the presentation from KCB.
Yes.
They'll be here shortly, so we'll start them when they get here. Deputy Chief, would you like to give us a update, the crime update for Haverford Township?
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Commissioners. Last month, 460 traffic citations, 185 parking tickets, and 230 written warnings. Burglaries, we had a business overnight force at 9/3/15 Bucket Haverford at the gas station. At the beer distributor on Haverford Road, that was an overnight force also. Residents, no force. On Strathmere Road, the victim's son was arrested, and another one on Lawrence Road, it was another victim's son was arrested. Theft from vehicles, and we've had a lot of these over the past month to 6 weeks. We've had some more in the past couple days. On 92 Ormond Avenue, we had an arrest on that one. 913 on Raymond Drive. 924 Washington Avenue, we had 5 overnight vehicles entered. 924 Sycamore Road 1, 924 Garfield Avenue 2 overnight. Grant Avenue on 924, 930, 2 overnight, and 930 Briarwood Road. These are all unlocked cars, no forced entry.
Right.
And you know that I've been beaten to death.
Yeah, we have been talking about that a lot, about the lock your cars. Just lock your cars. None of these cars would have been broken into or anything taken if they would have been locked.
That's correct. Also at 930 Upland Road, we had keys left in the car, and the vehicle was stolen, was recovered in West Philadelphia. We had a sex offense arrest on Biddle Avenue. It was a juvenile victim. Impersonation of Haverford College's subject approached 2 victims, identified themselves as college security. We had arrested 1 male, and the hearing is tomorrow, as a matter of fact. We had 2 counterfeit money attempts at Monroe Road Business and Westchester Pike 2. Westchester Pike, we had a total of 3 arrests for passing $100 bills. In fact, we had another one today. I believe it was super fresh. So a lot of $100 counterfeit bills are floating around. Also, Officer Pike made a road stop on 924. He had 3 arrests, 125 counterfeit credit cards with a credit card swipe machine also. So that obviously was a big ring that he did it just on a regular road stop and stopped a lot of counterfeiting on that. 7-Eleven on Haverford Road was broken into. Wasn't broken into. Employee who worked there for one night stole $18,720 worth of gift cards, and then locked the front door, went out the back door. We did make an arrest on that one also. K-9 usages. 9-1 the warrant service. 9-1 building search for narcotics. 9-3 with a track of a prowler. September 4th building search of a resident with an open door, and 9/23 a building search from a school alarm. That's it.
All right, thank you.
You're
It's a
welcome.
lot of traffic stops. How many, what is it, 4?
460.
460 traffic citations, 230 written warnings, 185 parking tickets. So
Wow.
That is a lot, because normally it's around 200.
just busy, a lot of enforcement. We've had a lot of federal money, which we do enforcement, target enforcement, which is part of that also. But it's also just patrol out there doing their job. Schools are open now, so
Yeah, that's right. We
there's a
got
lot
it.
going on. So everybody's
That's
back on
true.
vacation, a lot more traffic.
Yeah.
Mr. President, just a quick question about the car break-ins. Obviously, the cars are unlocked, but do you think it's just random kids? It just happens to be a coincidence that
Well,
stretch, or is it-
we've had 2 reports. One man came home 3 o'clock in the morning, came home from work, saw somebody getting out of a van in his car. We had a description of the guy. It's hard to say, Commissioner. We don't think it's neighborhood kids. We've had a lot of bicycles stolen, which I've reported on last month. We made an arrest today or yesterday, two males from Overbrook that were walking up on houses and looking at packages. And they both had stolen bikes also. So we got a lot of coming in that's causing some of the problems, but we're increasing patrols in these areas, heavily with unmarked cars, so hopefully we can make some more arrests on it.
All right. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Okay. All right. We want to start with the
Curbs and laterals? Sure.
Curbs, laterals, and the backflow valves.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay, you want me to?
That's okay.
I'm sorry, Larry, you're fired.
Thank you.
Please don't make them promises you can't keep.
Yeah.
It's like, whew, thank God. Hey, what's going on, Jeff?
Hey, so you can look down, just you can use that like
I'm not great at this, you guys, so bear with me. So, Commissioners, I just wanted, you can hear me okay, right? Yes. This all relates to the use and occupancy in the township, and you know that I've been talking about the curbs and the sidewalks for a long time. So, in order to, I said last month that in order for you to understand, the entire picture on transfer of properties in Haverford Township, I just wanted to go through a couple things with you. And I emailed you earlier this evening, and if you don't have one, there's a hard copy on the table right here. Just, some very basic fees that come into play. And so when addressing the curbing and the sidewalks, I wanted to bring in the backwater valve situation because I've had so many plumbers and so many real estate agents calling me over the last several months concerning that. But also on the last page that I sent to you, I put in there an estimate on a sewer lateral replacement and inspection so that you have an idea if this is coming down the pike toward us that, this is what it looks like. So what I wanted you to see tonight is just the use and occupancy. This is really easy to pull up, and it's actually very, very helpful. I wish that every realtor, before they go on a listing appointment, would show this to their seller because it's really important, the things that are required. So, you have smoke detectors, very basic things. You have to have the front numbers on the house, carbon monoxide detectors, sump pump, and floor drains, which this township addressed years and years ago, that the sump pumps would actually go out into the lawn and not into the sewer lines, which was all pretty much eradicated now. I mean, I know my first house here, it actually did go into the sewer line, but not anymore. And then the backwater valve is not that new, but fairly new. And then the sidewalks and curbing is what I've been talking about, relentlessly for 4 years. And I know I've bored you all, terribly. But I think the greatest, one of the really good things here is the backwater valve. And bear with me if I can push over here. If there's a great link right here that Joe Celia has put up that's very, it explains it well, and I want you to just take a look. This is a good example of how our township website is working well. And this actually explains to the homeowner what's expected with, why you have to have a backwater valve. And we all know we live in a very, highly densely populated township, much more so than, a lot of our western suburbs that don't even have use and occupancy for, the transfer of property. So if you look at this, and I'm going to have invited Mr. Charlie Gans here, a longtime plumber in the township, to address this. But before we move into this, I just wanted you to look at the last page of what I sent to you about the sewer laterals. And I just wanted to go through my presentation here quickly, and then we'll get to the backwater valve because I want Joe Celia to be able to speak and Mr. Gans. But if you look in the transfer, actually Haverford Township is very, it's great, compared to other situations. We have a 2% transfer tax. The transfer tax is divided traditionally by buyer and seller. The seller absorbs 1%, the buyer absorbs 1%. That is negotiable, but 9 times out of 10, people do not negotiate it. It is 1% on each side. So I took a $400,000 sale, and you have a $4,000 transfer tax right out of the gate. Then your curbing, I took a typical 50-foot frontage, which is fairly typical in Haverford Township. If you have to replace, 2 4x4 blocks on your sidewalk, part of your apron on your driveway, and 52 feet of curbing, that's going to run you anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500. I usually get 3 quotes. This one was my best quote on this one of $1,750. Then your backflow valve, which I will let Mr. Gans and Joe Seeley get into a little more detailed, can run anywhere from $500 to $2,000. So then if you go on to a lateral line inspection, which we've discussed about coming down the line, the inspection itself runs anywhere from $300 to $500. And please bear in mind that all properties are different and that they have, different variables depending on their landscaping or however the line is, deeply buried. But if the line that is inspected is from the foundation of the house to the curb, there's 2 separate inspections. The foundation to the curb is the seller's responsibility, and from the curb to the main line can be the seller's responsibility as well. So if you take from the foundation to the curb, where most issues occur because of trees and age of the line, and my house is a perfect example. I have lots of trees. They've been there for 100 years. And, the line is 100 years old. So that inspection runs anywhere from $300 to $500. The house that I took this estimate from is actually in Marion Golf Manor. It's a corner lot, and their estimate to fix their line just from the foundation to the street was $5,800. Now, if you go from the curbing to the main line in the middle of the street, you can get that inspected. 9 times out of 10, that's actually in pretty good condition from the people that I've spoken to. But it's from the house to the curbing. That's the problem. So if you take these numbers and you say to a seller, and I'm not including additional fees for realtors, which I did not put in here, but your 1% transfer tax, say you have curbing of, let's just call it $1,500, and then you have a backflow valve, and we don't even have the sewer line inspection yet. But if you're just taking those 3 items, you're looking at something that is anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 on top of, your commissions and you have little fees of, recordings and things like that. So I get calls every day about this. And I just wanted to address the back valve today, give you the numbers on the lateral so you have an idea when this does arise again, and it shall. And also, when everyone's done discussing the backwater valve, I wanted to say, in terms of the curbing, please look at this whole picture and understand that these homeowners are getting large fees to transfer these properties. And if we can come up with something with the curbing and sidewalks that can somehow alleviate, some of the pain involved, and my proposal is that we do something township-wide, which we've talked about before. We could possibly bring in, still falls on the homeowners, but they're given an opportunity to do it prior to the sale of their home. So if the road is paved, we come in and say, we can do it for a certain amount of money, get a contractor to come in and give them a better price, because every time a house is transferred, someone comes in and does 50 feet, it's not economical. It's just not. And the one item that really bothers me, and we've worked so hard on this, we've done good things. If the property curbing, which we went through, Joe, the last time, if it's 4 inches and it's 4 inches on the right and 4 inches on the left and the section in the middle needs to be replaced, it's replaced at 4 inches. So we've got that kind of dental molding cured to a degree. But most of the properties in Haverford Township, a lot of them, the next property over may be at 4 inches and we're replacing at 6. So we still have this kind of mishmash, for lack of a better phrase. So what I'm asking is that we look at this total picture, look what it's costing the seller, and try to address the curbing and the sidewalks yet again. And also get some answers about why we have a backwater valve, why it costs so much, and is it what we need. So I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Gans to talk about the backwater valve. And then Joey, if you would like to follow up with that, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Thank you. I'll start off by telling you that we're not talking about a valve, you're talking about the wrong valve. We're talking about a backwater valve, okay? A backwater valve is this guy over here. You keep calling it a backflow valve.
Come here.
And this is not,
Hey, we got to get you on
this
camera.
is not, I'll put this here, but
We'll get to
I noticed at the meeting that I looked at the last month, everybody called this thing the wrong thing. Back water, not backflow. So, that's here. I want to go over a couple things. Most of you know me, but my name is Charles B. Gans Jr. I'm a lifelong member of Haverford Township community. My father started as a plumber in 1926 in Haverford Township. I started in '55 upon my graduation from Haverford High School, and it was the last class to graduate from the school on Darby Road. Then they opened a school on Mill Road, and my brother Chris was the first one to graduate from the school on Mill Road. I took, in 1980, over the family business and continue to run Charles B. Gans Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today in Havertown on Grassland Avenue. I was asked to come here to discuss the two options of township is currently approving for backwater valves. Whoops, the computer's kind of jumping around here. Exhibit A, which I gave you a bunch of handouts here, is backwater valves and why they are used. Who is at risk? You saw that chart that was just there. Anybody that's in that position and the township decides where you are with those manholes so that you can find out where you are, then that's the person that needs a backwater valve. According to the International Plumbing Code, a backwater valve is required in areas where the public sewer could back up into the building through the sanitary sewer system. When plumbing fixtures are located above or next upstream manhole cover for the building sewer connection to the public sewer, the sewer will back up through the street manhole before entering the building or house. Public sewers can become blocked or overloaded, which can result in sewage backing up into the manholes and the laterals connected to the sewer system. The point of overflow for the public sewer will be the top of the manhole and backed up a portion of the system. As a result, could end up with basement flooded and raw sewage, and that is a real mess. As you can see, this would be both unsanitary and would require costly repairs. Is that me?
There you go.
Move
Thanks,
that
Bill.
demo. Recently, Haverford Township has approved two devices listed on the township website. One that is according with the International Plumbing Code, the other is not. First, I will describe and talk about this device, the multi-flat. This guy right here. This goes, and you can see that this is in a couple of pages. You'll see where this is inserted under a toilet, and it's normally closed, although some of the information is kind of contradictory. And when you flush the toilet, it's supposed to open and let the material go through. And when the sewer backs up, it closes and holds supposedly tight, and that's it. It's a mechanical device. It has a spring and a hinge. So that's the one. Cables can get stuck in this because the plumbers don't know that is under the toilet. So when somebody has a problem and you go to clean out the toilet and put a cable through there, you get caught. And you could break the toilet, you could break the flapper, you could do all kinds of things and cause a lot of problems. So we we don't use these because they are not approved according to the international code. The second is the device that is approved by the International Plumbing Code, which is what we go by, and that is this guy here. It's a little bigger thing. It's got a top that comes off. It's got the approval right on it, BOCA and things, and that is what is approved by the International Code, which we go by. Backwater valve shall comply with code ASME A112.141, CSA CNA, which is the Canadian thing, B1811,
It comes right out.
and all those things. That is the approved piece. So, in closing, if the township is going to continue to require housing to be sold in the township to have backwater valves installed for plumbing fixtures below grade at street level, connected to public sewer system, there is only one valve that should be allowed in the township. It is the one that is approved by the International Plumbing Code. Using the proper approved device will help eliminate potential legal issues in the future for the township, licensed plumbers and realtors. The items, those two, obviously, that thing protects a toilet. This protects the whole system. That piece would be installed in the basement, or there's another one that's a little different, but it can be installed outside. The one that we would install outside be similar to that, but the top would have a 6-inch riser that would come up to the top with a threaded plug and a 4-inch interior piece that would be hooked to the flapper so that it could be serviced and should be serviced every year, but you could service that from outside. And the ones in the basement that are below the floor, we also have to use the same type that is outside type, and we bring a 6-inch piece up and we put a threaded plug there so you can take it out and service the valve.
Can I just ask a question real quick? Sir?
Charlie?
Pardon me? Mr. Gantz. Mr. Gantz, right here. The backwater valve you're talking about, I want to clarify, it's only for if you have a toilet in the basement, is that right?
It's for anything that can overflow in the basement.
Oh, anything?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that
Because our code
thing
is,
is only for toilets. This thing here.
This one is just for toilets, this one's for the whole
no,
system.
I thought we were doing the valve for anyone who had a toilet.
But it can be if you have a sink, a shower.
Isn't our
There are
code-
people that have full bathrooms. in the
Right, that's what I
basement.
mean.
Plus
So-
the washer,
Yeah,
plus,
yeah.
you know.
A washer tub. But no, I'm talking about our code. Doesn't it require if you're selling your house and you have a full bathroom down there, you have to do it. But if you don't have to, right, Joe?
No,
No.
anything you have below the rim of the manhole.
I'm sorry, go over to the
on that-
speaker.
I'm sorry. Commissioner, anything you have below the rim of the manhole on that diagram.
So if we have a sink, a laundry sink,
Whether it be a toilet, whether it be a shower or a sink, thanks, Joe. You would need to put a preventative in, a backflow preventative in. Backwater valves are what is required under any new installation from 2009 to present. And that's required by the township when you get a permit.
but if someone has a sink and they're not using it, can they close off the sink and then they don't have to put it in, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a 2-inch one. If you had a laundry tub or a washing machine, you could put this one in, and this would always be above ground.
Where would that go if you just have a laundry tub?
Basement, most people have a laundry tub or something. You would hook this up so the water would flow through and it couldn't back up into the
Right.
laundry tub.
But that wouldn't go underground, right, Mr. Gantz?
Pardon me?
That
This-
wouldn't go underground?
It could, but normally it
You
would
don't.
be above.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll pass that one around too. That's the
Laundry
things.
tub was inside the floor.
I gave you a chart here, similar to this chart, and it shows how the manholes are located and which houses would need a device and which wouldn't. So that's fine. Homeland Security, federal agencies require protection from some of these things. Our code, which we have a book of, you all know, that is, and I made a copy of the section of the code, 715 point something or another, that lists the backwater devices and what the approvals are, so that, see, yeah, that's a picture of some devices and what you have. These things have been around for years. They're not new. They have changed very little. They're a gravity device. When the water backs up, it closes. When water flows, it opens. So they do need maintenance. And people, another problem I have is when somebody puts one of these in and sells the house, the buyer has no clue. They don't know what's in there. So as a result, they don't service it, and when they call a plumber to clean the line, he runs a cable down there. He doesn't know that thing's in there. He gets caught in the thing, and the cable's caught. And, you know, you're spinning your wheels. The people need to know that buy these houses, that has been installed, and that they need to maintain it, because we're all hanging out there. It was put in per code, but then nobody takes care of it, and when you have a problem, hey, you've got a big problem. How does it work? You can see how it works, not too bad. Backflow prevention valves and safety check valves, for that matter, should be inspected quarterly. We usually every year. I mean, you don't have to do them quarterly. Anytime you think they were closed, you need to check them. So if you have a bad situation, most of the problems that we have here are floods from, as you said, Jane, sump pumps. When it rains, there's a tremendous amount of inflow into our sewer system. In the city of Philadelphia, you must drain any part of your property. And there's two types of systems, a combined system where sanitary and storm go together, and two separate systems, one for storm and one for sanitary. Out here, only sanitary. We don't handle storm water. It goes wherever it goes, downhill, you know? So when it rains, people get flooded. They pump this water into the sewer system, and you're getting 2 or 3 times the inflow into the sewer system. Sometimes that Delcora thing actually opens and dumps raw sewage into the Delaware River because they got no place to put it. When we used to have our own plant here, the RHM plant, now we got that interceptor line down there. That's what happened. And the TV of the sewer lines is a way to probably eliminate some of this inflow. We're paying the sewer rent to treat stormwater. Not a good deal. I do have some things here from the International Plumbing Code. It tells you that these are need to be approved devices. The flaps, are not approved. They're made in England. There's no approval on them. They're cheaper, but as far as I can see, if the township approves them, they're liable because they don't have an approved product in there. And sooner or later, you're going to get called on it. So I don't put them in. I don't have a real feel for the backwater valves. I don't have a problem with putting them in or not putting them in. It's not my thing. It's business, but it's not, the world's end. So, okay. Yeah. All right.
We want Joe Celia to be able to speak to.
Oh, Joe's in there.
So just a couple of quick points that I just wanted to quickly reiterate and clarify that my dad was talking about. So at Gans Plumbing, we don't really have an opinion whether or not if the township wants to do this, a lot of other townships are. We just wanted to bring a little bit of light to the two current options. The one current option, which is this flapper, which is only for a toilet, which is a non-approved device, okay? This is a approved device. When you look at Exhibit B, it's not part of the International Plumbing Code, which is in your packet. And the other thing I wanted to have you take a quick peek at is Exhibit C, which talks about what this device is really for. This device is made in Europe, and if you look, the first thing it says is to stop the vermin now. It's to protect your toilet from snakes, rats, frogs, cockroaches, and other pests and devices that might come into your toilet. So that's really what this device was made for. It's so that something can't come up the sewer line and end up in your toilet, so when you open your toilet seat, there's something unexpected in there. It wasn't really made to alleviate, and if you can see, it's not really all that easy to put, it's a bit difficult to push through. It wasn't really made to alleviate sewer water from the main sewer coming into our houses. So we need to keep that in mind, besides the fact, again, that it's not an approved device. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. As I mentioned, at Gans Plumbing, we are only putting in the larger approved device that Charlie passed around due to the fact that it is the only approved device. We are recommending, as plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors, part of the Suburban Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Association, that these not be used because we don't want our fellow plumbers being liable for putting in a device that isn't approved. We also don't want that to come back to bite the township or realtors that are involved in a transaction. And again, these are only for the toilets. It doesn't resolve any issues with a laundry tub or a full bathroom that might be in the basement. So, any questions?
Yes. we have
When you mentioned maintenance, what type of maintenance are you talking about? Is that just clearing the line, or is that actually going down into the box itself, the valve itself, and making adjustments?
Take the lid off and clean it.
So it's just a cleaning? And what would roughly that cost?
Can,
Ballpark
can you
idea.
stand?
That would just be a service call, and we charge $125 for that.
I'm
So,
just trying to get
that's,
to,
Roughly annually,
Yeah.
and it's around
Yeah.
125.
These things, none of this stuff's foolproof. If something gets caught in that thing, no matter what happens, water's going to come in. There's no foolproof thing. You're not closing a valve off. This is a gravity device, either one of these things. There's no foolproof deal here. But they are way better than nothing. Also, Larry, I talked to you about some letters. I got a couple of copies of those letters in there, so take a look at the thing and get back to me on them. That'd be great. Thanks.
Any other questions?
The other mechanism that you had, the small white one that goes on the laundry thing.
Yeah.
You know, normally if your sewer line's backing up because you have roots that one, and it comes into your basement sink, right? If you put that in, where's it going to go? It's going to keep going up, right?
It's going to go up into your neighbor's house because they don't have a valve.
Stop right there.
No, but
It's
no,
the pressure.
Your neighbor's house.
Yeah, it's hydraulic pressure. So, once you're past the top of the manhole cover, there's no pressure, so it's not going to push it out.
so
You
it
understand?
doesn't come in your basement sink. It won't
it'll
go
go-
higher into your sink upstairs.
No.
It will trap air. And part of the plumbing system is to move air in and out along with the water. So what would happen if this closed and your system started to continue filling up, when you flush the toilet, it would start bubbling, jumping around, the kitchen sink would bubble and gurgle, and you would know that there's something wrong. You wouldn't know what, but you would have to call a plumber or a sewer guy to put a check.
Well, it's better than
Wouldn't come-
having sewer in your.
It wouldn't come up to the first floor because it would come up through the manhole cover first, wouldn't it?
Well, if the manhole cover was in that position, yeah.
Right.
The manhole covers, you ever have to try to get a manhole cover off?
I have. They're incredibly heavy.
They are very
incredibly
tough.
heavy.
The idea with this is that the manhole cover is going to open up when it fills up and dump out in the street, but a lot of times that can't happen. You can't get that thing open.
that's for an individual appliance. The other one is for the whole system.
Right, that's if you don't have a toilet in your basement, you just have a wash tub.
Like you have a laundry tub for
Right.
your washing machine to discharge into.
Right.
So it's not gonna go higher.
It won't come out the first floor, it'll come out through, if you look at the illustration there, it'll come out the manhole cover, the pressure will push the manhole cover open before it gets to the first floor.
In theory.
Technically, yes, that is the theory, yes.
Depends on where the pressure is.
Good evening, Commissioners. Just want to bring you up to date how this all arose in Haverford Township. The 2009 International Plumbing Code is what we use and is adopted in Haverford Township. The plumbing code did say that any new installations of bathrooms below the rim of the manhole, which we've been discussing, needs to have a backwater valve installed. So we do have that on new permits. But most houses have basements put in the basement without permits on weekends, nighttime. So we don't know that and we can't stop that. So on the point of sale, the house that has this facility in the basement does not have the proper installation and does not have a backflow valve installed. So what we tried to do, because of the backups, in 2011 we had 15 backups reportable that we paid on a claim. In 2012 we had 15. 2013 we had 12. Now in 2014 we only had 3, and in 2015 we had 6 the township was paying out on. So between the sewer department doing a great job of cleaning the sewers, not having backups with their new prevention program, and these being installed properly, we don't have backups anymore that we know of anyway. So what we tried to do was have the multi-flap not put in, but people came to us and showed us this multi-flap. And we had no choice because the code says 105.2 alternative materials. So we have the obligation to look at any materials that's brought to us. So we gave this material a look, and it met the definition of a backflow valve with non-abrasive, spring-loaded, and fit in the toilet. Did not need a plumbing permit because you're not cutting any pipes. So at this point, we did not really have any jurisdiction of saying whether they could put it in or not because it didn't need a plumbing permit. So the other thing was the definition of acceptable. It gives the township official in the code able to make it acceptable or not. So as far as being certified anywhere, it doesn't say that in the code. It says the township official has the right to accept it or not, which we took the township plumbing official, the BCO, township engineer, and the sewer department, and we all looked at this product, which is like $150 compared to $2,000. And on older bathrooms, which people are selling in their house, we decided to let this be used at this point until we see something that says it shouldn't be used. But we have not got anything from anybody saying it did not work at this point. Questions?
When did we start requiring the installation of the backwater valves in,
2009, right?
2011, ordinance 2011.
and that was our ordinance?
Yes.
Were we ordered by the state to do that?
In 2009, the International Plumbing Code, which we adopted, said you had to have a backwater valve on all basement bathrooms below the rim of the manhole. So all new installations in 2009 would have to have this.
Okay, for new installs.
Right.
So in 11, we then required everybody who hadn't installed it new but had a bathroom had to fix this thing at the time that they sold the home.
Because of the amount of backups, we were asked to try to cure that backup problem. So people that were buying houses in Haverford Township didn't know whether they were up to code or not. So by us trying to bring this to their attention, it let them have the alleviation of having backups in their basement, which costs thousands sometimes.
Do the townships around us, did they all institute the same requirement to go back and retrofit?
Some townships do, not every township.
How about our neighbors, Lower Merion, Radnor?
I
believe
Upper
Marple
Darby
does.
does.
Does?
Yes.
Does Lower Merion?
Not sure about Lower Merion.
I think so.
Radnor, Marple, we know anything?
I believe Marple and Springfield, are pretty close to it.
Didn't a lot,
I don't know
of
what's
this
pretty
come
close to it,
from,
meaning they might do it or they have it.
No, I believe Marple and Springfield does have it.
Okay.
yeah, I thought a lot of it came from the sewer authority from the county, trying to make sure we had it done also. I was under that impression. No?
I'm not sure.
They didn't really come to us at all.
Didn't they?
We did this because we had a lot of backups and we were paying a lot of, on our insurance, we paid 15 in 2012 and 11, so. We were trying to give the people who were moving into Haverford Township that didn't know they didn't have the right thing in their basement, at least a fighting chance to have, the sewers not come in their basement.
Yeah, they are different.
Any other questions?
A new construction, what is it that's required?
New construction does have to have a
backwater-
backwater valve installed.
And that is the
big white
the
one.
mud flap or the big white?
Big white. That takes the whole sewer system into play, where on a retrofit for an older house that had a basement bathroom for years, it was a $2,000 usually to break the basement up. But like I said, we don't really think it's the best thing out there, but we had the obligation to look at this, and it does meet the requirement that we feel to save somebody a lot of money and time, and it doesn't have that backward valve in it.
Well, it certainly stops the heart attack of seeing a snake in your,
We've had some rats in toilets recently too, and this this
in
will
your
prevent that.
basement toilet.
Easy boy.
Yeah, but
Anybody have any other questions?
I just want to point out something, because
Respect for these things.
I'm concerned about a misperception that could get out there from this presentation, particularly the curbs and and the sidewalks. Lower Merion requires replacement of curbs and sidewalks at a home sale, correct? It's
Actually,
according to their website right now, it says they
yeah,
do.
they do, but it's interpreted a little differently than
Marple
ours.
does, Radnor does, Upper Darby does. So what we're doing now, so people understand, those costs would be the same or similar in any of the neighboring communities, so that it's not as though we're outside the norm. And I don't want people to think, oh my God,
No,
we're in
no.
Haverford.
And I wouldn't say we're outside the norm, except that I've sold a lot of properties in Lower Merion, and if they come through and they use granite, as you know, and when they replace a road, they replace the granite. And if you go through and the granite is not broken or damaged, or if they don't have you pull all that granite out and put it with 6-inch granite. So now they're as strict as we are about, differentials in the heights of the sidewalks, and particularly with their old trees and things like that.
But the
And I just, this is my thing, and I just feel that as far as we've come with the curbing and the sidewalks, we can do better. And so my reason for doing this tonight is that there's a whole lot of things on the UNO, and it's getting a little bit more burdensome. And I think that if we can look at the entire picture and try to do something that is a little less burdensome, because the biggest call I get is on curbs and sidewalks, and try to do something a little more broad for the entire township, that it's worth doing that. And other townships do that, and that what they will do is when they do the road, they go in and they give the homeowners notice, and they say, we will replace the curbing, we will pave the road, and you will be given, a bill for this curbing at a rate that is better than someone coming in and doing 50 feet personally for you. And you can either pay back the township over a period of time, or that lien follows with the sale of the property. I mean, there are different ways of doing it.
But even if we did that, and I represent people who buy and sell homes, and I get the calls as the commissioner, that applies to the whatever 35-mile, 35 blocks that we might do in a year, every other year, and the other properties still have to be assessed the same way or addressed the same way
Right.
with the curbs and the sidewalk. Okay. But I just don't want people thinking that
No.
we're the only one charging.
Oh, no, we're
making
not. We're
people-
certainly not. But I think there are other ways of doing it. And I also think that, the idea is good. But when you drive down the streets, it's still flawed. It's still flawed. There's no cohesiveness. It's getting better, but it's still not where it should be.
Yeah, we're not, we're not just talking about, doing it ourselves. Obviously, we're
No,
not talking about
we're
that.
not.
We're talking about having a program where, maybe by doing it in larger, by doing more houses, will lower the cost, and having it done, when we're doing a street, do it, you do that, or have a township-wide, every year have a contractor where we get the lowest bid, and then everybody could,
And pass that along to the homeowners.
right.
And I just see it getting higher and higher, and and I don't blame the concrete gentlemen, ladies that do this, but it's like anything, if you can do 15 lampposts instead of one, you're going to get a better.
Right. So if you had got this contract and you were a homeowner thinking that you'd be selling your house in the next 5 years, if you could get it a lot cheaper in this program, then you would do it, and it would save you a lot of money. So
Exactly.
it's, it would be
So I just
beneficial.
wanted to put the numbers together so you can see it, so you put it into consideration. I know we've talked about it a lot, but I think it's something that I do nothing else, maybe I can
Just-
get this.
Can I ask a question? The backwater
Valve.
valve, are you suggesting that we do something with that as well, or?
I just think it's something that has come up with the plumbers, and the one big, this is kind of, it's difficult, because what Joe said is true. The one from England, it's less expensive, and people tend to put that in. And I think that to a certain degree, that's okay for people that have had I go into houses here, there's been a toilet in the basement for 100 years. Nobody's ever used it, but we still have to put something in there. I think that's fine. But in terms of, I want you to understand the cost that we put in these new ones, and you go into a house and somebody has to dig up the cement floor, they have to put in these valves, it's costing at least $6,000. I've seen up to $8,000. And the other really big problem we have is everybody in Havertown is putting a basement bathroom, because most of the houses are either 311 or 411, and 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom upstairs, a powder room, and then they really want a full bathroom in their basement. But people do it without permits. And when they do it without permits, as Joe knows, he's visited a lot of them, then you go in and you say, you know what, I'm sorry, you did it without a permit. That's really hard for us to control. But these are, my point of the whole evening is that all of these are expenses to the homeowner when they transfer the property. I think we should make an effort to get literature out there, or whatever it may be, to alert the homeowners in a better way, which I'm happy to do, and take it into consideration when you are looking at the laterals, if that comes, sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Okay?
Just one more
Okay,
question for Joe.
Go ahead.
Joe,
We need to move on, though.
If a lateral collapses or needs to be repaired, they're required, when they put the new one in, to put the valve in, right?
We suggest that if they're not doing any bathroom work in the basement,
Right.
I can't enforce that. But like I said, if I go in the house and I see it's in there, I always tell the homeowner that you're going to have to do this upon sale. So I'd suggest you do it now. It's a lot cheaper. So we do suggest it to them at that time.
If they're smart, they would.
All right, thank you
Can
very
we-
much.
Actually, I've got a question.
One thing,
Okay, we have another presentation, too.
the handouts that I gave you
Here.
have a couple of letters that our plumbing association wrote to the township. Would like you to look at them and get back to us on those items. Thank you.
I'll take a look at those, Mario.
I just
Those
have
letters
one
are with the
question.
township attorney at this point, so I really can't. The township attorney is handling it. We did meet, and we are in the middle of discussing the problems.
Okay, thanks very much, and thanks to Joe and Lori for this. This is a really good UNO
Go ahead, Larry.
section.
What you've just raised, Commissioner Hall, about the bathrooms that have been around for 60 years and bathrooms that are built 3 years ago without permits. I mean, obviously, it's very easy for our inspectors to know when a bathroom was constructed, and if the issue about, new, full bathrooms with showers and bathtubs and everything like that in the basement, which have 3 or 4 different entry points into the sanitary line, and need to have backflow valves, versus my house, which has had a toilet in the basement since 1927 when it was built. Can't we make a distinction in our ordinance that depending on whether the bathroom was built after a certain date, there we're going to impose the duty to dig out and put in the better, more advanced backflow valve?
That's a question maybe for Lori and Jim, whether we can make a distinction, because I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, there are bathrooms in basements in our township that, where the toilet sits up on a 1-foot box,
Yes.
because it has to be above the level. Yeah. And those aren't getting the kind of play where somebody's building a mother-in-law suite in the basement and somebody's living down there, 7 days a week. I have no problem with us drawing a distinction between people who now are building basements without permits and deliberately
Right, I have
violating our
no problem with
ordinances.
that.
as opposed to going, making every effort we can to make those folks trying to sell a house they've owned for 40 years not have to go through
Exactly.
humongous song and dance. And I mean, putting the anti-vermin flap on a sole, a single toilet in the basement, is going to do the job you need to
Right.
do.
And you're not going down there cleaning those basement toilets. They're not serviced as regularly. They're
Right.
in these older homes that people are selling. So, I think so.
So I mean, that to me seems an easy fix for us, at least in terms of trying to keep things fairer.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
All right. Thank you.
Joe.
I'm going to
Mr.
X out of
Thank you,
here.
Mr. Gans, for coming out, and Dara also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you
very
for
much.
keeping the Lanark Firehouse warm and the water flowing properly for a couple generations now. Appreciate it.
Okay. You want to go? Larry? Larry? You want to do their presentation first? And then do the
Super,
graphic?
okay.
Okay, let's do that first. Okay, right now we're going to do the presentation from our architects.
Thank you, everyone. Ed Mangold with KCBA Architects. With me tonight is Mike Kelly, partner of KCBA. He's a partner in charge of design for this project. And Jamie Ober, who's a project architect. So I'm just going to give a very brief overview, snapshot of where what we've been doing since the last time we gave you an update. And they'll be available to answer questions. We'll all be here if you have any after I discuss what we're up to. And I'm going to end on the schematic estimate that Reynolds has put together that you have in front of you. I'm sure folks will have questions on that as well. I'll have Bill McLaughlin from Reynolds step in at that point. So basically, since you saw us last, we've moved from schematic design into design development, which basically means that the plan concepts have been solidified, and we're into design refinement and development at this point. So as part of this, we transition into those SketchUp images, the 3D modeling images, into our Revit software. That gets shared with all of our consultants. So as it stands right now, we're kind of firing on all cylinders relative to the design. We have the civil engineers working on development, our geotechnical engineers done test borings, mechanical, electrical, plumbing designers sizing equipment, and our structural engineer is refining the structural system, column grid locations, and things like that. So everybody is actively working on the project right now. We're just moving forward. We're continuing to meet with the steering committee and township staff to make refinements as the design moves forward. So it is a constant checking in, making adjustments, but still moving everything forward at the same time. As you may or may not know, the geotechnical engineer was on site. He did test borings at the building location. We did 6 borings. We got the initial boring logs back. They're going to be putting together a complete report for us with recommendations that are going to help support the structural engineering design. And we're going to have the geotechnical engineer come back out as the civil engineer is continuing to develop the stormwater design. The geotechnical engineer is going to do some digging on site to get data for that stormwater design, test percolation, see what kind of ground conditions we have for that. As part of the civil engineer stormwater design, we're looking at items such as rain gardens to be incorporated into that design, and we're looking into the idea of porous paving and portions of that. But the civil engineer is basically just starting that right now, and we'll be able to get more updates as we move forward with that. That stormwater design is important because that's going to be the component that's going to add to all the grading work that he's done on the site already, laying out the parking lot, trying to balance the site as much as possible before he does his November submission to the Planning Commission for his land development documents. In addition to that, he's been working closely with the township on identifying any zoning issues relative to steep slopes, which unfortunately we can't totally resolve because of the nature of the site. We will have some retaining wall conditions, and we're looking at fencing that's a little higher than normal because of securing the police parking area up on the lower level. So he's going to be putting together submissions for variances before the zoning hearing board. That's going to be coming up in November as well. So he's a very busy guy right now trying to support the design of stormwater and moving the zoning process along as well. Like I said, everything's kind of moving full speed here. Some of the other things that we're looking at, we met with the code folks here at the township, Steve and Lori and Joe, of course. We all sat down, did a preliminary code review. Jamie and I worked together on identifying required egress for the building, identifying capacity, building type, ADA accessibility issues. So I think we can report back that we didn't identify any serious issues with the design. They did provide some really good feedback that we've been incorporating into the design, particularly in tricky areas where you have to get potential prisoners out of their cells during a fire event. Those are special situations that we've been working as a group to resolve. And I think we've identified a good way to approach that. Some of the other things that have been going on, the memorial, which we talked about in passing. We've actually met twice with our small memorial committee to talk about how we can incorporate as much of that Veterans Memorial and First Responders Memorial into the building itself in a kind of a natural way and in an economic way, so we're not building this standalone memorial, which wasn't initially identified for the project, but so we're trying to meld as much of that into the building exterior as possible with a little bit of expansion to incorporate all the elements that are involved in a Veterans Day event or a Memorial Day event, which currently happens out in front of the stadium. More we could discuss. We'll have some good lockdown visuals of what that's going to be like at the next meeting. We're working with Commissioner Connell and Detective Charlie Moore, Lieutenant Moore. Those are our two main points of contact. So in between these updates, you can target those guys to ask them really detailed questions. We can address those this evening as we go. I should have the site plan up since I'm talking about the site a little bit. So as you can see, there is a area that we've been taking a look at, and we're trying to think of a way to minimize the amount of impervious on this site. This is basically a building and a lot of parking. We understand that parking is a heavy need for this site, but one of the things we've been talking about amongst the design team and the township staff is the possibility of reserving or escrowing parking as part of the design concept, particularly possibly this area of 30 parking spaces, which sits right where the police station is currently. This is something that we could probably do as a bid alternate, see what the cost of that particular piece of parking lot is on bid day, and then make a determination if it is truly needed at that day one of the project opening, or if that's something that we want to basically reserve. We can grade it out roughly, and then, you know, if it's over the next few years of its use, if it's determined more parking is required, you could easily go in and include that because it's already been contemplated in the site design. So it's something that we're kind of going to continue discussions on, and we'll be happy to hear about that from the board as well. Some other things that we're looking at on the site specifically, we do have some charging stations that are required because of EMS vehicles, which we have outside right now. I think they plug in because of the diesel block on the vehicles. Those are basically located on that corner of the site. So one of the things that we're looking into are kind of progressive ideas like canopies, giving protection to those vehicles and possibly some other vehicles. Those canopies incorporating solar panels, and that would in turn give the power required for those charges, so you kind of get free electricity over time. Now, when I say free, the first cost of those canopies, obviously not free. So we're working with the staff to try to identify potential grant applications that'll help defer the cost of that type of installation. Those are just a couple of the things that are in kind of regular discussion as we move forward just with the site itself. As I said, the building is progressing along. I think our plan is really well defined at this point, and we're starting to look at some of the overall exterior aesthetics. I think this has changed a bit since the last time you looked. What you're seeing here is a mostly stone and glass facade. The type of stone that is typical for this area, the gray stone, with the mica, sort of like the Wissahickon schist, balanced with a bit of brick on the rest of the building. This would be down the hill off Manoa, looking back at the police facility, the police entrance. You can see the stone turning the corner, and then a little bit of a material language change for the police functions because they do have a more secure security concern as far as accessibility, visibility for the building. This was just initial conversation rendering for the memorial and incorporating that into the adjacent to the front entry lobby. So we received a lot of good feedback just before this meeting we met, and we're going to make some adjustments and refinements and come back to you with those visualizations. With that said, we'll be happy to take some questions, keeping in mind that Reynolds will be going over the schematic estimate as well. So depending on how much you want to suffer the architects, you're free to ask a lot of questions or go right into the schematic estimate.
Yeah, what have you done about the staging area?
Staging, we are still working with the construction manager, Reynolds, and the civil engineer to identify the staging. I know that we're targeting using the shared driveway, the side of the road from that shared driveway for a lot of the staging. We're also looking at the back area on the other side of the ball fields, that big grass area. With,
Back where the basketball court is? Is that what you're talking? Okay.
possibly using the basketball court as well. We're looking to try to minimize intrusion on the ball fields as much as possible. If we can avoid it altogether, that's our main goal.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's move on. Or we'll call you back if we need you.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Bill McLaughlin. I'm the regional manager for Reynolds Construction and also the project executive for this project. It's my pleasure to go through the schematic estimate. It may be an overused term, about 40,000 feet and all that sort of stuff, but we'll try and stay pretty high up to start with. There's a lot of detail in here we can drill down as we get this conversation going. Please ask any questions as we go through, and we can talk about them now, or we can talk about them at the end if you want to save them. If you open your booklet up, or if you have it electronically, either one, there's a table of contents, and right behind that is where the rubber meets the road. There's your 40,000 feet. It's the size of the building. Tells you about the building at the lower levels, 24,200 square feet. The upper level is 18,400 square feet, and you have some storage on the upper level of approximately 1,200 square feet. This is a snapshot. We have to put our pencils down every once in a while and do an estimate to confirm budget. And that's what this is. These drawings are done and worked off around the end of April, beginning of September.
You don't have this electronically, do you?
I set it electronically.
Yeah.
I can forward it electronically, I have an extra copy.
Yeah.
And they were hand-delivered by Kelly.
Okay.
I know,
Yeah, they
mine's
were.
at home on my desk, so, do we-
I don't have it.
I need one.
I need one.
Oh.
I got one out in the car, I'll grab one.
There you go, Larry. You can share.
Dan's pretty quiet. He's got his
Electronically, but I had the paper. It was in my office when I got back from vacation today.
I thought you had it.
Yeah, normally I would have scanned it already, but I
Okay.
haven't had a chance. So I'm sharing it
I'm
with them.
disappointed.
Dan,
I
who sent
look
it?
to you for.
Who sent it?
You want me to keep going, or you want me to send it? I didn't get it all.
Yeah, okay. So,
It was in my office, so I just threw it in my bag. I was away
So-
last week.
so your building is 43,800 square feet. That was something that was kind of prescribed from the very beginning. We have a site work cost estimated at about 2.86 million, 2.868 million, and a new building cost of around 12 million, a little over 12 million. We give you a total construction cost of 14,954. That's the number, that's what construction is. Then below that line is the estimated soft cost. The next page has the soft cost detail. The soft cost detail is all of the other things that go into the project. They give you a total project cost of about 17.9 million, just under 17.9 million. Now, there's a lot of placeholders in here, and I'm going to kind of go through those placeholders so you can kind of understand how things work. So with soft cost breakdown, you have the architect's fees, you have our fees. You have various design professionals. We have some small numbers in there for allowances for extra water taps or sewer taps. You have water and sewer service already there. We have some legal fees, printing costs, advertisement costs, testing agency. You'll need to pay a testing agency to do soil compaction, concrete cylinders, and all that during construction. We have an asbestos consultant for the old building. We're going to assume that there's something in that old building. And you cannot just simply demolish a building. You must do an asbestos review of that building. And if there is asbestos, you must abate it before you demolish it, even though you are demolishing it. We have a budget of $550,000 in there for what's called FF&E, movable furniture, fixtures, and equipment. This is all the furniture that's going into your building, including the dais you're sitting at right now, and chairs, and all the loose furniture. Lori was kind enough, they've done a preliminary budget. I guess Jamie and Lori worked on a preliminary furniture budget, so we're using that for now. We had some moving costs. There are things that you're going to want a professional mover to move versus the township, even though a lot of stuff's going in new. There's still going to be a lot of electronics and things like that you're going to want to move. We have a budget in there for teledata technology. You're going to need a certain amount of new technology. We met with Rick several weeks ago. Very knowledgeable guy, had a very good handle on exactly what he needed and what he didn't need. It was very enlightening, and we moved through that pretty well. There's a construction contingency of $530,000. That will stay throughout the project. That will move over. You're going to see that from now till we close the project out. It's $530,000 construction contingency. That is for anything that comes up during construction. You're going to see other contingencies, and we'll talk about those, but this one stays forever. That's why it's in the soft cost, and that's why it's in the estimate of the $17.9 million. That's 4% for new construction, and the size of the site and all that is probably very reasonable. Almost everything will be described in the documents. Should be very little that should come up during construction, and that's, of course, is always our goal. And we have $200,000 there for bond financing, because we always want to capture that. It's often a cost that rises up more so in school construction than municipal construction, but still, you're going to have a bond, or you've done a bond already. You may have some costs, but you may want to attribute those some costs back to this project, and that's a means for you to do that. We get involved with the soft cost accounting as much or as little as the township and the township folks want us to. But obviously, construction costs, we will do all the accounting for you for that. And that's just usually, it's just kind of an iterative process. We work through what everybody's comfortable with when we do that. And it's very early in the project. This is a snapshot from earlier in the month. So the next page is clarification, so I'm not going to read everything in here, but I'm going to give you kind of an idea of what an estimate includes. We try and include everything, especially early, so that we set a realistic budget that in best cases only goes down from here, not up. So the only things we've excluded is a building permit, assuming you're not going to charge yourselves a building permit. But if you
I
are going
know,
to charge,
Marty might.
but if you are going to charge hours to the job and you want to capture those, we can put a line item in soft costs for that. And that's not uncommon. We didn't put a sewage tap-in fee. I know you're off-site with your sewage, you don't have your own sewage facility, but you still may get a waiver or something like that, or you may not need it. We haven't done a calculation on the capacity needed to use yet from what you have existing on that site to what you're going to be putting in. And then water company fees, you have water service to the building already. We do have a new water meter pit in there. We do have a new, from the street, we have a new 4 and 6 inch mains coming, 4-inch domestic and 6-inch fire line coming in. There's a lot of record shelving that is shown in there. That is assumed to be by the owner, and what that means is it's not in the hard number of the estimate. It is in the soft cost of the estimate on your movable furnitures, fixtures, and equipment, or a large portion of that anyways, unless you buy something very special. We assume that all utilities are available in the street, therefore there's no off-site utility construction. We did capture a small amount of off-site improvements, waiting for PennDOT review and a lot of other things to determine what we may or may not have to do on Manoa Road to have PennDOT's blessing for that relocation of that drive and that sort of stuff. Hopefully it's a lot of painting and not much else, but Dave can probably speak to that better than I can. And that's, again, moving through. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask, I had mentioned this, I don't know, several meetings ago. You mentioned PennDOT and that road there, about putting an emergency light, so when emergency vehicles are coming out, the light turns automatically red. Did you?
Preemption.
Well, yeah, for the police.
We're not quite there yet, but see, at this point, there aren't too many new signals are going without it, so it's certainly anticipated there'll be preemption on it.
Okay, I just didn't want to forget, because residents had some concerns about police coming in and out of there, because the building's there and whatnot, and the stadium.
At this point, almost any intersection, at this point, almost any intersection we upgrade with signals, we put preemption on almost all of them.
But where'll that signal go I'm talking about when you come out of the building?
Well,
For the
there'll
police.
there'll be no signal until you get to the existing intersection signal.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about that, though.
What are you talking about, as you leave the building?
Well,
Columbia Road?
No, I have to see we can talk about it again, but I'd like to see the schematic so I can show you what I was talking about.
You're talking about going down the drive to where?
Yeah, talking about Columbia Road.
Right, yes.
That's what he's
You're
talking
right.
about, going down the road, which would take in from the police station.
And
take
worried
in
about
this
people exiting out of Columbia, what's the driveway back to the fuel place now?
Exactly.
Yep, we'll go over that with the police and John, because there's really no signal there right now.
No, all right.
So,
Right.
we don't really have any kind of preemption override.
I mean, it would always be green if nothing's going on, but for safety reasons, if somebody's coming,
The police already there?
No.
Yes.
What?
I mean, is it a
They go
problem
up
now?
Columbia,
They don't go down Columbia.
They go out on Manoa.
Yeah, but they don't go out the way we're talking, because that's where the recycling center is.
It was go out Darby Road.
They go out Darby Road.
Where there's no signal and they have to cross a dedicated one-way lane of traffic. I'm just saying, I think we're talking about a problem that doesn't necessarily exist.
The crossing guard office there.
I don't know if it doesn't exist. I mean, I think that anything you can do to improve safety, especially when you're putting everything back down there,
Sure, I
is
know,
worth
we're
it.
not putting the police station in a place where it isn't currently sitting.
Oh.
And when they pull
Again,
out of
what's the
Columbia,
difference of putting a light there? I don't get it.
None, but I don't want to
We'll
give
discuss
people the
it.
impression.
We're meeting almost monthly.
Steve's talking about a problem that doesn't exist now, but will exist.
Yeah,
I think if you pull out there at a Columbia Road and you turn the lights on the police car, that's going to be better than a traffic light. I mean, that's going to alert the people more than having a traffic signal.
Traffic light makes perfect sense. I just didn't, I thought there isn't going to be an increased use of this site from police perspective. They're already there. And
Or is anybody else
as long
but
as we're
police coming
rebuilding
out
it,
for Columbia
we can
Road?
make it better, great.
Right, that's what I'm saying, because you're gonna have the paramedics there too. The director of paramedics is gonna be there, he's gonna be racing out.
Right, okay.
He's not there now, he's here.
We're not going to keep an ambulance there.
No, but we're gonna keep the director's vehicles are there and his other guy.
They don't come out that way. They come out onto Darby. Only the police come out.
It's true, but they're all gonna be there is what I'm saying. Everybody's going to be down there.
We have talked about this where we have some concerns and we have been talking to do some improvements because of that, because we have some concerns also. But I think we are moving in the direction to make some improvements with that. It's too soon to say what we have to do, but we share your concerns also.
Right. I mean, that's all I'm saying. If we can make it better, improve something, let's do it while we can do it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's all.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. That's a good point. The equipment's going to be on site, the engineering will be done, make sure the site distances are improved for both vehicles on Monroe
Exactly.
Road.
Exactly.
And the vehicles coming out of there. And that's a good point. Now, understand that a lot of the vehicles will still go out of Darby too. They're not all going to go out of Columbia. I guess depending on the call, and Chief Green's that better than I can, but all that is going to be improved tremendously.
So, I'm sorry, sir. So you're saying that some vehicles, police vehicles will be coming out here as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yep, yep, and we've made improvements to that first lane of parking to allow them to come out without a lot of interference from the parked cars.
I would actually have more concerns about that than,
That's where you put the traffic light.
I mean,
We've,
no, not so
around
much
on
the
that
traffic
for a
light,
while,
but you're
too.
going to, I mean, this,
Blowing through a
isn't
parking
this
lot,
parking for the
the lights
stadium
on.
as well?
Well, yeah, but at midnight or 6 in the morning or something like
Oh,
that.
that's different, right. If you're doing it during the day,
Yeah,
if there's a hockey game's going on and Larry's playing there, I certainly wouldn't want anything to happen to Larry.
We would not want that to happen, Steve.
So that's the plan. And also about Columbia Road, the thing you know is we are looking for that for most of the laydown area and for any of the stockpile of materials that might be on site. Now, modern construction, almost all material arrives in a just-in-time fashion, just like modern manufacturing does nowadays. So material just comes when it's ready to go up. So structural steel's on a trailer on site, and when they're ready to start erecting structural steel, it's in a trailer, they pick it, they erect it, and they go on again. And that's just the way that works. So when I move down through this in clarifications under number 5, you're going to see a bunch of numbers. These are all allowances that are in one of two places in this estimate. The first one is design contingency, totally separate from construction contingency. Design contingency is a number we put in that slowly goes down as our design professionals refine the drawings. So this design contingency, it's schematic, which is basically sketches, is fairly robust because they haven't drawn everything in the drawings that we're going to have to buy. When we get the DDs, which would be 30, 40, 50% drawings, that number, the next time you see an estimate, that number will probably be half that. And at bid documents, that number will be 0 because everything will be on the drawings. That contingency goes away, and anything that happens after that is handled by the construction contingency. So I just want to make that clear. So that's why I say we're trying to set a number that we want to get below as we move through this phase. We put escalation in the project of 2 to 3% for this duration. I mean, 2 to 3% per annum. There's a lot of construction materials that have been held down for a long time, and they're going to start going up. And we're seeing it on a lot of projects, so we put escalation projection in there. We have some off-site road improvements, a small number for that, around 50,000. We have some rock excavation. We got the borings. The initial results aren't bad. It's going to be hard digging, but it's not rock per se so far. We'll see what happens when we go to do infiltration testing. We have a number in for landscaping. We have allowance for casework. That's going to be all your building work. Detention equipment not listed. There's lots of little nuances in the police department they buy that are going to be built into the building. There's a safety bar, for instance, outside of the cells. So if the police have a prisoner and they're struggling, they can get their back against the bar sounds alarm, somebody will come to their aid, for instance. The cell doors are in there and some other stuff like that. There's an elevator. We put money in for a police storage building. All the police storage buildings on the site are going to go away when we build this building. There is a space on the far side of the building to either do one of two things, and there's been a lot of discussion, and I'm not saying anything that this team hasn't heard before, between either doing an alternate bid that would have something built onto the side of that in a lean-to form, but be integral to the building, or to build a standalone building. And both of those are possibilities. And you've heard about alternates already when he's talking about the alternate for the parking lot, of building or not building those parking spaces. We'll have several alternates like that to also help manage your budget. Things that are gonna be nice to have, you're gonna need one bite of this apple, put as many things in project as you can, but we wanna manage your budget and make sure that we don't end up in a bad bid day with something that you guys can't build from affordability point of view. So that will be in there. A few details, the roof system. You have two different areas in that roof. And I don't know, do you have a roof showing this? No, the one perspective, I don't know if it's a letter perspective. Well, where this pavilion is, there's building underneath that pavilion out to the edge of that stone wall there. There's building underneath there. So that is, in effect, a green roof. It doesn't have a vegetative cover. It would have they do little stands, and then would have that slate or stone flooring over top of it. But there's still a green roof system underneath it that's going to manage that water, keep it from penetrating into occupied spaces and take it away. On the other side of the building, if you saw maybe some of the other designs, there's kind of a small pavilion area. There's two storage structures on that roof. There's a pavilion area, and there's a green roof over there, and there's a green roof with the HVAC equipment place. So those green roofs have obviously they're a lead component, they're a sustainability component, and they would be a PVC to start with, and then we would use that same PVC product as economy of scale. We would use that product on your roofs as well, probably in white, but we have to. The architect will make decisions like color. I don't even tell them whether it should be black or white. That's the architect's job. The stone contemplated in the estimate, and what you're seeing is real stone. As Ed said, that's a 6-inch face stone. I've done several buildings down in this area, Penn Valley and in Haverford. And there's a blend, there's several quarries that will do the blend that will match what you see in this township. You can also go to not a synthetic stone, but a manufactured stone, and that's real stone, but it's cut to a 2 or 3 inch face. It's a stack stone. I'm sure you've seen that a lot of the houses when they do retro and reno. We're using it in the Chamonix schools right now as a way of redoing their facades. That's a little less expensive, but we put the real stone in to start with, so you can see where it is. Again, maybe appropriate alternate to help you manage your bid day, make sure that you get your building what you want. The interior, the flooring in the common areas, the lobbies and vestibule. The vestibules would have carpeting of some sort for walk-off and cleaning. Porcelain tile in the lobbies and hallways. Carpet, obviously, in the offices. Carpet in the boardroom, that sort of stuff. Motorized shades for the commission. I think somebody brought that up the other day when they asked about some of these higher windows. They would all have motorized shades to allow for all of the things that are going to happen in there. And you might have PowerPoint presentations like this, or somewhere where you want to give them the room to send. So behind all of that, in the hard copy of the estimate or in the electronic copy, is about 20 pages of detail. First 7 pages or so is the detail for the site estimate. The next 12 pages or so is the detail of the building estimate. We don't have to go through, I'm not planning on going through that right now. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or you, as you go through, if you come up with something, feel free to shoot the question to Lori, and she'll get over to me, and we'll get you the answer probably the same day.
Just one more question. So this doesn't include any new furniture, correct?
This includes brand new furniture.
This
throughout
does.
the building, in your soft costs.
And the soft costs? Because you have movable furniture. I think you said moving furniture.
No, movable. I did talk about mover later on, so that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I talked about mover for electronics and some of the other stuff, and things we want to bring over there.
So $500,000, over $500,000.
Right. Which is probably appropriate for this size building. We've been doing this a long time. We have a lot of metrics we use. We have 30 years of historical information to produce these numbers. So as much as you see maybe 3 zeros at the end of the number, don't be fooled. There's real data behind those numbers. We just try and make it easy for you guys, for everybody to read it, including yourself. Okay? All right. Any other questions?
All right, yeah, thank you. Normally, this is where we cut it off after 90 minutes, the work session, so you guys want to continue, or?
We have the people from the Y here.
Okay.
So I would think we need to.
Hey,
Give them 10 minutes. How's that, Michael, 10 minutes?
I don't think they want to,
No, they're not doing a presentation.
they're not doing a presentation.
Just to see what we're talking about with their stuff.
Yeah, with their work session, I get it. I'm just telling you what the requirements are.
How much
So
time you need,
If
Mike?
everybody's okay with it, we will move on.
What's that? Okay with
Okay.
what?
All right, thank you. Any questions? Any questions?
Going once, going twice?
Sold.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for your presentation. That's all we have for you. All right, so
He's right.
discussion on anything else on the agenda?
Mine just got it electronically, so that's gonna get thrown out, and that's gonna get.
Excuse me.
What's the traffic signal approval, Mario?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, which one?
The traffic signal.
Adoption for traffic signal approval?
Yeah, where is that going?
There's a traffic
Larry, traffic signal?
I can do traffic, yeah, I'm sorry.
at College and Haverford. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that. Could you explain that, Larry,
Yeah,
please?
that's a requirement that the architects that are hired by PennDOT, that's a PennDOT project.
Right.
PennDOT's going to be redoing the College Avenue Bridge. Part of
Right.
that project is that they are going to replace and update that traffic light signal. Dave, correct me if I'm saying anything inappropriate here. Part of that replacement will require preemptive device to change the signals.
Right.
But all, that entire traffic intersection is getting replaced.
Laurie, are they,
Go
or Laurie, are-
New traffic signal.
Yeah.
it's new traffic pattern too, correct? Yeah.
Very modest traffic pattern.
Mayor, I can't hear.
I can't hear.
Can we quiet down in the audience, please? Go ahead.
New radius at every intersection, a widening of College Avenue coming towards the bridge on the other side of Haverford Avenue.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
gonna have, well, they're gonna have two left, they're gonna have a opposing left-hand turning lane was the last thing I had heard, but I hadn't heard anything in a few months.
The widening's on the other side of Haverford Avenue.
Right.
The radii all get changed, the radius, three of them fairly modestly, one pretty substantively.
Mr. Pannoni, so I'm clear. So it's the north side of Haverford,
It's the north side.
the north side
College Avenue.
College Avenue.
of College Avenue, of the intersection of Haverford and College Avenue, is the north side. They're widening that intersection there? Are they going in, so they're going into Haverford College's property and the property on the private property that was just transferred? Is that where that's going to be widened?
So most of the widening's away from Haverford College.
Okay. So they are not, they have redone that bridge already. They're not doing that again, correct?
Oh, no, they're
They did it
redoing the
years
whole
ago,
bridge.
years
They're
ago.
redoing the whole bridge.
So they're doing that bridge. Are they doing Ardmore Avenue as well? Because that, and I haven't heard anything about that, and I know there's a lot of things going on. Do you have a time frame on both of those?
We have not gotten any update on Ardmore Avenue. Clearly, College Avenue is now moved ahead of Ardmore Avenue.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, College Avenue, no, well, College Avenue was ahead of it before. It was always gonna be College first, then Ardmore.
I don't believe so. I think it was the
Oh,
opposite.
I
think
thought it
the
was
U-
Ardmore
I don't
US
think
Open-
so.
US Open put them back.
Right.
Not the,
But
Meetings I
I can
remember.
honestly tell you, I think,
I'd like Laurie to get
I don't
me.
think, I know I'm planning on retiring in 5 years, and I don't think you're going to see Haverford and Ardmore done before then. Haverford College is going to be starting in the very, very near future. And College
Okay.
Avenue is going to be years off. That's going to be a 2 to 3 year project, correct, Dave?
Avenue, you mean,
Yeah, Ardmore Avenue's years
Ardmore
off, you said
Avenue is
backwards.
way off.
We've been meeting on the College Avenue one.
Yes,
We
for
met
years.
for 3 or 4 years before, so
But Ardmore Avenue
Right.
was slated to be done first.
That's what I
They
thought.
moved it around.
way back when. Yeah, not recently. Just making sure I was awake in those meetings. Yeah, it was always, Ardmore, from when I got involved, Ardmore was gonna be done after it. It was going to be
yeah.
College first at that point.
Okay.
I don't know what happened before I got in, but, yeah.
So the signals.
But they are putting in big thing it's gonna do is get rid of that queue, because you're gonna have opposing left-hand turning lanes.
Getting rid of it's a little bit. little strong.
Well, it's gonna alleviate,
Not
yeah,
much on Haverford Avenue, in fact, it won't do anything on Haverford.
no.
But it should improve the flow of traffic on College Avenue.
As college at night is really,
It's
5
horrible.
o'clock.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad.
It goes
So-
all the way back up the railroad.
Right. So how long are you anticipating the bridge to be out?
Now, I don't have an exact number. I think the road took a year and a half.
Yeah, I believe the last time we were at PennDOT 18 months. That's if nothing goes.
24.
Okay.
And that's what Eagle Road was too, if you remember Eagle Road. That's sort of somewhat similar to a creek and
Right.
a bridge and septic tracks. So
Right.
it's somewhat in the same type.
But it won't be as bad as Church Road in Lower Marion.
Oh, my God. It was forever.
Years ago, didn't they do
Okay.
Buck Lane, and then 3 months later, they had to redo the whole
Let's focus, gentlemen. And ladies.
Tony, appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right. Nothing. All right, well,
Ooh, can I mention something?
no.
Okay, goodbye.
Go ahead.
No,
What do you
no,
got?
just one of the items that's on the agenda, the replacement of the animal control
Yes.
vehicle.
Yes.
That is an unscheduled replacement. That
Right.
vehicle was not cited to be replaced until the lateral part of 2016, 2017. Unfortunately, we've had multiple mechanical problems with that vehicle, and if we repair it today, we're looking at anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000. It's not practical to do that. So we were replacing the chassis of that vehicle. We do have money in capital to do it, and the back part of it, the animal control part of it, will be removed onto a new chassis. So that's why you're seeing the price is roughly only $27,000. If we were to purchase a new vehicle, you're looking at 45 to 50.
I have one more question for the police. Chief, on the traffic
No.
on Sunny Hill and the intersection of Maryland and Sunny Hill at Roosevelt,
And-
what are we putting stop signs there that aren't there now, or what? What?
It's on the agenda, I believe we are putting it there, yes.
So they're not there now?
We have any questions? If we don't have any questions, then we're good.
Did you know about this, Dan? Did you
No,
ask
I
for this?
saw it on this, but, because that's not, that's.
You know how this came about? I'm just curious, because part of it's my war. I think Roosevelt's part of yours, right?
What's that? Which 100 block?
Doesn't say. What 100 block is that, do you know?
Roosevelt and Sunny Hill is mine. Yes. How did that come up? We kept,
Is there a stop sign there now?
No, there is no stop sign. As you come off of Sunny Hill and you cross Roosevelt, there's no stop sign on Sunny Hill. And we've had a lot of close calls there, and we've had, I believe, 2 accidents there where there is no stop sign if you come off of Sunny Hill, off of Eagle Road, onto Roosevelt. And people, so we're putting every other intersection there has a
Is it a
stop sign.
three-way, or is it a three-way now?
It's a four-way. It's a three-way now.
You're gonna make it four-way.
We're going to make it four-way, yeah. But, yeah, right, it's the outlet for the church. So people come out of church and people are coming down and they don't realize that there's no stop sign there. All right, anything else?
Mr. President?
Go ahead.
Just one question, and it's about because I understand we have people from the YMCA here, and they can answer this question from the audience because it's a yes, no. There are so many conditions on this resolution that we had to go to a second alphabet. But my understanding is that the YMCA does not have objections to this resolution as written. Is that correct? You haven't seen the
You've seen the
resolution for the
I think
final.
it's not as easy as you thought.
For the parking space?
planning
this not
commission,
provided?
it's the planning commission
It's a
recommendation.
recommendations from the planning commission. You agree with those?
You has seen those,
I haven't seen them, but
but you're aware of them? And the YMCA doesn't have an objection to these? I mean, we're not voting tonight, you have plenty of time to raise objections, but since it's a work session, I just thought I'd ask whether or not there was any particular problems the Y had with
the only
these.
objection we have.
Mike, you should need to come up
Yeah.
then if you're going to.
My apologies on that. The only objection we have, and that's probably why we're here tonight, is to ask to revisit that portion of usage. We were told that we could build the parking lot, but we could not use that until
This is my question.
The off-site
Yeah.
improvements are done.
Mhm.
And so because we're still working through that with PennDOT, and both the township and YMCA faces the issues of traffic and parking, we're hoping to be able to work through that with the commissioners to alleviate those issues going back into the fall and winter months.
Actually, I was looking at that because it says proposed parking lot will not be made available for use until Lawrence Road and Eagle Road intersections improvements are completed. So is that what you're referring to, sir?
Yes.
But why is, there's no ingress or egress to that lot? It goes around and comes out at the entrance, doesn't it? The plan I saw?
How much control does the YMCA
Goes out on
have over the
Lawrence.
Lawrence Road and Eagle Road improvements?
Well, and Lori's not here, we should go get Lori, but I mean, and I appreciate the YMCA's predicament, but I can tell you that my office continually is receiving complaints
isn't
about
part of it?
when
Get
is the
Jimmy.
traffic improvements going to be done on Eagle Road, especially the intersection of Eagle and Lawrence.
I mean, it's-
And so sooner or later, something's got to get done. I mean, we've been talking about it for 2 years, from emergency responders to the residents that live along Eagle Road. I mean, you know, and I don't know the particulars, and Lori's been working very closely with Mike and his colleagues, but, you know, something's got to get done fairly soon.
What's
We're-
holding that up? What are the Eagle and Lawrence
Yeah.
Road improvements?
Lori, can you answer that question?
I mean,
Um,
like,
a couple of things, and the one is, the application to PennDOT will include some timing changes, some coordination of the signal with the new signal that was installed at West Hillcrest Road, and some minor modifications to the turning radiuses
Right.
along the road, some handicapped ramps, and some streetscaping improvements that are proposed. There have been, still have an application for a grant pending that was never funded this year, that was supposed to have been funded, and PennDOT just never announced who was getting the grant, and the recipient of that grant would have been the township in partnership with the YMCA for a $500,000 improvement at the intersection. We've not heard anything. The Y said we're gonna make the application to PennDOT, and whatever they require us to do, that's what we're gonna do. But we were hoping to get some public funding out of that. The YMCA is also working in partnership with the township. They're contributing toward the cost of the trail, although we didn't put the dollar amount for the trail that is under construction now, that the project Tim's working on. And there were a couple of other improvements that that the PennDOT was looking at. Now, I will say that the HOP from PennDOT is going to, PennDOT will make the final determination what improvements are required to be installed. The township has made some recommendations, and in each case, the YMCA explored it, including putting in longer turning lanes, but we had a problem because we had a business owner across the street who would have to agree to limiting some egress movements out of his site, and he has declined to do so. We thought for a while that the intersection here, that there would be a developer at the Sharrow gas station, and that party was going to be doing some of the intersection improvements at this corner, and that hasn't taken place, so the YMCA is going to be on the hook for the improvements here. Under our lease agreement, there's a cap to the amount that the Y is responsible to spend for off-site traffic improvements. Under the lease agreement, it's $500,000. So getting the $500,000 to go as far as we can was the purpose for trying to work in partnership with some of the other developers, trying to obtain grant monies, and all those things caused, unfortunately, delays in the applications. So one of the things that the Planning Commission recommended was that they not be able to occupy the parking lot until the improvements are done. And I've been in conversations with Mr. Trope about posting cash escrow to make sure that it gets done, and holding someone's money is a great little motivator to make sure it gets done in a certain fashion. He's producing copies of letter of credit posted to PennDOT, and so we're working through that. I think that that's a good alternative to disallowing the occupancy of the parking lot, though, when parking seems to be one of the major drivers here.
Right.
It was a reaction to resident complaints that we needed parking.
I think that these things aren't connected. I mean, they're not refusing to do the money, to put the money in. They've signed the contract.
Sure, I understand.
I'm sorry.
Well, then, explain it to her, Mario.
Surrey doesn't understand.
Who knew Siri lived in Haverford Township?
Yeah.
She
So
can't
it's
get to
kinda
the
like,
why, you know?
we haven't told them what those off-site improvements are, and we're kind of holding a gun to their head
Yeah,
to say that you've got to do this, but they, I don't agree with
the whole
this.
point of this parking lot was to take employee cars out of the parking lot into a dedicated parking lot
Right,
to
and
improve
help-
the traffic and parking situation. And we're holding them to stuff they have no control over. It too doesn't.
Exactly.
This isn't fair.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I don't think it's gonna be a big surprise to us which improvements, but we're gonna be constrained by the available right-of-way. So I don't
Right.
think there's a big surprise, and I've spoken with the traffic engineer today, and I know that the application wasn't remitted yet, but it's due to be submitted this week, to PennDOT for the intersection improvements,
Well,
so.
I'm not in favor of this. I'm not in favor of them occupying that without getting that intersection fixed. That intersection is terrible. I drive it all the time. My residents drive it. Is awful. And we need to do something, and we need to push PennDOT.
You have to
and get it done.
you have to tell them what you want them to do. You can't keep them from
Whatever
occupying.
improvements, whatever-
You can't keep them.
It isn't us.
Not us telling them what to do.
Exactly. But we're telling them in our ordinance, we're telling them that they can't occupy or put parking onto that lot until these improvements that they have no control over are done. They're not saying that they're not going to do the improvements. They're going to do the improvements. They've said it. They put it in a contract. They've written,
But we told
they give
them
it to us in writing.
PennDOT gonna do the work?
Well, that,
Exactly. It's
PennDOT doesn't
PennDOT
do
who
the
we
work.
should be trying to get to the table here, not the
well,
YMCA.
well, wait,
Because
it's,
they move so slow, if she gets the financial, if PennDOT gives a commitment, if they put up the letter of credit against that, I think the question is, we've got a good tenant, they're gonna pay for it, as we know.
Right.
It's a matter of getting PennDOT to
I-
commit. So
I
if
agree.
we have
It's-
their
it's-
financial
but it-
commitment, I think we could let them.
Yeah,
operate.
exactly.
If I may, also the application that Lori spoke about in regards to the Green Light Go grant. The design was supposed to have been done by PennDOT. Well, because they're moving so slow, I made the decision. Our traffic engineer do that design and pass it to PennDOT. So that's what we have done, and the finalization of that permit application is in process. It will be going
Right.
forward to PennDOT.
Right.
So I took a proactive approach to get that done instead of sitting back and waiting.
Right.
So you
And we're
have a
just
traffic you have a traffic study completed already?
We did a traffic
Oh, that-
study
that's
way
all
back.
been
This says it here that, where is it? I just had it. A traffic impact study is required, and this was part of the resolution.
I'm not the traffic engineer, but we do have a traffic engineer. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight because.
Is it
of
completed?
conflict, But she's done supplementary or
They've-
documentation in regards to the traffic study that was done in regards to the design and the movement that is supposed to happen out there.
Well, I'd like to see the traffic study before we decide on anything. I'd like to see what that says.
That was
traffic
all that
study,
Before it was built.
there was a,
But it's in this resolution, like it wasn't completed. Is there a new one?
They're preparing and delivering a new comprehensive study
Okay.
of traffic conditions.
And this all came out of the planning commissioners, right?
But that's not a condition to the use of the parking lot.
Right.
The only condition here to the use of the parking lot is the Lawrence and Eagle Road intersection improvements
Right.
being completed.
Right.
And if we
They
can
don't
get a
have any
financial
control over
commitment from these folks that they will do it when it's approved, there's no reason not
I'd
to
give
use
it
this
to 'em.
parking
Go ahead.
lot.
Exactly.
They get
And
everything else they
it's-
want.
If anything,
Might as well
it's-
do that too. I think there's a safety issue there, and I think it's, we told the residents that we would, when this happened, we'd ensure that that intersection was fixed. Or improved.
Tell the residents
Doesn't-
we're going to
this
hold
does
the
not-
use of the
this
parking
does
lot
not-
hostage to something PennDOT did or didn't do.
This is not up to the Y. This is up to PennDOT. We're holding the Y hostage, and
I
we're
don't
not
think we're
allowing
holding them
them to
hostage
use.
at all. I don't think that's.
Yeah,
that
you are.
language
You're
is
telling them they
inappropriate.
can't
We're not
use their
holding them
Lot of
parking
parking
lot
lot, and we're not
until
going to let them use
PennDOT.
it until PennDOT finishes what it does.
Well,
And when's that going to be?
I have no
Once they
idea.
get in
Well,
that
that's
line.
It's not Penn-
the-
it's-
Well, this gives
PennDOT's
us-
not here.
Then
That's not their problem.
then I would want this board to ensure that once they're in there, that they help push it and we help push PennDOT to get this done.
If they have a
That's-
commitment
I
of
think
money
it's
in there that
ridiculous
we
to
can
do it
tap
right
any
now.
time,
It's-
that's as strong a commitment as anybody would have.
I think the fact, Steve, that Michael said that, they paid their own engineer to come up with a design and send it to PennDOT because PennDOT wasn't doing it is kind of pushing PennDOT, in a way. I mean,
Can I just say that I don't know that the program was funded, and it might have been delays with the adoption of the budget or whatever, but the program wasn't funded. But regardless of that grant application and this budget, there was an obligation on the part of the Y to do
Right.
off-site traffic improvements, including coordinating the two signals, tying the light in at West Hillcrest and Eagle Road to try and help move more cars through because of the limited space. And that's really the focus, and that's the application that they have to make by the end of this week to get that thing moving. And whether the grant gets funded or not, those improvements are gonna have to be put in.
Right, but the Y is doing those.
Yes.
They've signed a contract saying that they're going to do those. Am I correct?
yeah,
Okay, so why are we holding them from putting parking, moving parking? And right now what happens is people come in, and if that lot is full, they come back out into traffic. And we create more traffic because there isn't enough parking in that space. If we give more parking and allow them to use that parking, we're reducing the amount of traffic coming in there.
In our last meeting, we talked about parking at the Y, and the parking all the way on the other side is not being used as much as the parking spaces closest to the Y, and they were working on that to make sure that those spaces were being taken up. So it's not entirely full. It's just that people don't want to park further away from the Y.
They have, the Y has a company that they have contracted that tells you where to park. So people are using those spots, because when I go by in the morning at 6 o'clock, 5:30, the whole place is full.
And this is employee parking we're talking about here?
Right.
It's separate.
Right.
It may be separate, but you still have vehicles
them to
from their
use.
Y going in and out of that area where residents complained about.
too many people talking.
It's a different,
I get it, I know it is. I know it's different from,
grouping of
Okay,
parking.
can Dan talk, please?
My sense was that you were trying to get the grant. It hasn't panned out, considering the budget situation in Harrisburg, which seems like it's never going to get resolved. You've just decided you're moving forward and you're going to put the money into that intersection. Is that correct? And the vehicles that you want to put on, that you're going to use that lot for, rather than the two empty houses that are now there, will be purely for employee parking, which is a lower volume of traffic in and out than your customers, the members. Thank you. So that presumably that might take some of the pressure off of Hillcrest a little, put a little more, but not much, on Lawrence, because that side's lightly used. Is that the plan?
Yes.
Okay. And so that if we take item number 2 out of this resolution, that'll allow you to shift. How many cars is it? I just don't remember them specifically. 30?
30.
So 30 cars, which is a significant number out of that lot, and hopefully then get people who get them off of Hillcrest, where I'm getting lots of complaints about, and I get complaints now from people as far away as Warren because of all this. So, I think it makes sense to let you move forward, as long as by next week you'll know that application was submitted, obviously. Right, and then you can tell us, and because you have no control over PennDOT, obviously, as we have known.
I don't think anybody has
Right,
control over
that's,
PennDOT.
Between what
Mike,
we've seen with
I would mark your
everything.
calendar for next week. be here next Monday.
Tuesday.
Oh,
Tuesday,
I'm
next
sorry.
Tuesday.
A
Yeah,
good
next-
reminder to everybody, Columbus Day. So Tuesday's our meeting.
Tuesday is our meeting. So be here next Tuesday.
I think it'll be a fun one.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else on the agenda anybody wants to speak about?
No, just a reminder that Friday, 11 a.m., Lori, is that correct?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Friday, this Friday, the township is being awarded from the DEP.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
The why?
You want to come up and,
We want the board members to be present, so.
you can announce it. There's nothing,
Yeah. Stupidity of the letter. I finally got a copy of it.
But there's,
what are we going to do, the announcement after the event happens?
there's going to be a ceremony at the Y on Friday at 11 o'clock, this Friday at 11 o'clock with the EPA. And the commissioners and Mr. Gentile and I are invited to attend as well.
Okay. It's a big surprise.
It's a big surprise.
Okay. I would come if I were you.
Middle of the minute.
Right.
Thank you, Lori.
I will, if there's nothing further, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We get together sometime.
I'm around.
Are you around?
Oh, hey, Lois.